Hey everybody, and welcome to day number 22 of the farmhouse renovation. So this is a little bit off format, and the reason it's off format is because day number 22, the video file actually got corrupted on our server, and that same thing happened with day number 24 and 26. And Aiden had suggested that I go ahead and do an intro here so that we don't have any lack of continuity in the format, and luckily, when I do these projects, I do a lot of, or I take a lot of photos during it, particularly on projects that I think are going to make great how-to or DIY blogs. And then these end up going on the Blocks and Spots page for all those folks out there looking to tackle projects like this on their own. It gives them a little KB just to figure out how to get it done. And so now that I have all those photos, well, I'm just going to go through and kind of narrate what happened over them. But I wanted to kind of preface that the biggest thing that we were trying to get done, or I was trying to get done at the time, because it was the middle of January, was the temperature wasn't high enough where I could seal the stairs. And I was getting really worried about the stairs because there was so much traffic going up and down them. And when you're dealing with raw wood as it goes in, unless it's sealed, it can stain, it can, it can dent, a lot can happen to it. And so I didn't really want that to happen. And we did get some warm days there, and then once everything got buttoned up enough, I was able to bring in the little area heaters that I had, and then just keep that temperature above 50 degrees so that the stain and the sealant would cure. And so that's kind of where this focused on. And then there was just a lot of little things like finishing up the bullnose and then the drywall, drywalling all down in stairs, which is a little bit of a process just because you've got to cut around all those bullnoses and make everything fit. I wasn't planning on doing a mop board or a molding on them just because we're going with a really simple, very sort of industrial look. I didn't want to have that degree of finish to it. And if you really pay attention to how the drywall goes in, you don't need that molding to kind of finish things up, and you'll see what I mean once you take a look at the photos. The only other thing that happened during this time was, got a chance to focus on electrical. Because all the drywall was up in the art space, well, now they could run the conduit, and this went in two parts. Conduit came in first, and then I planned on doing all the staining, and then once all that was checked over and inspected, made sure that that was all in properly, then they were going to come back and pull all the wires through. So well, let's just start off here, and then I'll narrate over the photos, but thanks for your patience, and here's day 22, 24, and 26.
All right, let's get started. So we ripped off all of the paper that was basically to start, and the stairs were a little bit of a mess underneath. So I got all my sanding out, different grits, and we got ready to start sanding. And so a little available grease, and I was able to get that really dirty step into the cleaner sanded steps that I needed in order for it to get primed. And then once that was done, well, I wanted all the stain to be the same, so I had to finish the bull noses. And so the bull noses had some particular interesting corner pieces because of everything was, and this was just one of the ones I had to make. And then this is the process to go through and make sure everything fits before you actually put the bull noses on. And I always make sure my bull noses are glued and pegged in order to really hold up to that toe stress as you're walking up and down the stairs. And so this was right at the landing as you go into the farmhouse, so I knew it was going to be a very active site. So I made sure that everything was biscuited, and then, as I said, glued, and then just put together really tightly. And then that's just going to make sure that over the long run that nose is not going to break. And then down towards the bottom, well, I had to do a little bit more with bull noses met, and so it was just a matter of roughing them in, and then once it was roughed in, well, then I could start to smooth them out. And I wanted to do a little 45 down there so it wasn't a complete round, and so I put them in, and then I carved them to really get that shape that I wanted, which you really see a close-up here. Once all the bull nose is in, well, now it's time to do the staining. So I did a second sandpaper, made sure everything was nice and neat, and then for this we were using a Varthane, weatherized wood accelerator. Now this is a little bit different than a stain. It's more of a chemical treatment, and so it goes on light, and then as it's actually interacting and chemically reacting with the wood, it ages it. And so what doesn't look like much at first, you just got to give it a few minutes or hours in this case, as it tends to dry. And this ended up being 2 coats, but then once those coats are dry, it takes on a nice gray and a nice aged look, which really went well with the wood that was inside the farmhouse. And then just some shots of everything all finished up. And then once that was finished up, well, it was time to seal. So I wasn't worried about the kicks yet. I was mostly worried about what we were putting it on. So for this, I was using another Varathane product. It's the ultra thick floor finish. Same thing I put inside, and then put that on 2 coats, let it dry, and then papered the whole thing up. And then it's important to really kind of paper this up. So we made it look good, and then we sealed it before all the drywall starts going in. So then we started cutting all of our drywall, getting on in all of those saw blades cuts just to go down the stairs, and then popping that all in. And I didn't want that dust grinding into the finish, so that's why I papered first, leaving about 5/8 of an inch off of the edge so that the drywall would fit right in there. And then that was the end of it, just putting all of this drywall in. And then I'm just going to end this with a quick video, and this is basically how tight the tolerances are. Everything's cut, everything's slid, and then if you do all your measurements perfectly, well, it ends perfect. And that's why I said we don't need a molding. So thanks for checking that out, and that's, well, that'll bring us into the very next one. See you then.